Hi, I'm Penguin4 to AK Taylor, and today I'm going to be talking about my favorite cartoon video games, meaning video games that were based on cartoons. And hold on 1 second. I forgot these, was in a rush, but I had to write them down because I knew I'd forget. So they're just like video games that are based on cartoons, and you will not see Pokemon on here because Pokemon was not a video game based on a cartoon. The cartoon is based on the video game. The games came out before the anime did. The cartoons came after. The anime came after the games. So, yeah. And so, without further ado, I'd like to begin. I don't have very many on this list, but the ones that I do have are awesome. So, first one is Scooby-Doo Classic Creep Capers. This game was great. They had like several versions of it. They had one for the N64. I think they had one for the Game Boy Advance, and then I had the one for the Game Boy Color. I had the one for the Game Boy Color, and each version was different because at this time, like the other two, there's two games on this list that weren't like this, but other cartoon video games were like this, where if it was on different platforms, like if Microsoft had one for their PC, they had a game for that, but they also had one that Nintendo had one on like on the GameCube, and then like one on the Game Boy Color. Each version of that platform would most likely be different, and that's how it was with this one. I know the Game Boy Color one, you had to solve the mystery of Dr. Jekyll, and you went through Dr. Jekyll's mansion as Shaggy and Scooby, and you'd have to capture and stuff. And it was a really fun game. I didn't beat it. I didn't beat the game. It got so difficult that I couldn't beat it, but I did replay it. I did replay it here recently online, and it sucked. It sucked the one that I played online, because you could play, which is basically what this was, an emulator of the GameCube version. Not GameCube version, the Game Boy Color version, and I played it and I couldn't play it. It wasn't working. I couldn't go inside the mansion. I couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't really go anywhere, and it sucked. But I just remember playing it, and the other thing that I remember was music. It went like you get it, and the music was great. The whole game was great, but I'm not going to post a link for that game to play that game. You guys can find it if you guys want to, but I don't recommend you playing it. Next one is Rugrats. Rugrats Time Travelers, actually. This game was awesome. I had it for the Game Boy Color. I think they made it for the Game Boy Advance as well. I didn't have it for the Advance because I didn't have an Advance. I just had a Game Boy Color. And growing up, I was obsessed with Rugrats, and I still am. It's my favorite cartoon of all time. I'm probably the biggest Rugrats fan ever. There might be someone else that might be bigger than me, but I highly doubt it because I've seen every single episode of Rugrats at least 1,000,000 times. I had so much merchandise growing up. I have a picture of me wearing a Rugrats nightgown when I was a kid. And I've seen every single Rugrats movie. I watched all grown up. I was obsessed with Rugrats. I still am. I'm waiting for the whole complete series to come out on DVD. I hope it does. If it does, I'll be the first one to buy it. But going back to the game, from what I remember about this game is you start out as Chucky, and you start out in what I thought was a department store, but it's actually a toy store. And you walk through this toy store, and there's like this legs, these legs that looks like those British guards that you see at Buckingham Palace with like the large, like black fuzzy hats on their heads that you try to like give them a break. Those legs from those British guards, and then like right next to it is like this robot. And then you go down further, and you have to get this. You get to this bell, and you have to jump on it to get it. You have to jump and get it. Then you walk back to the robot, and then you jump inside of its stomach, and then you go through this mine shaft. As Chucky, you're still playing as Chucky, and Chucky will go down this mine cart, and screaming is hilarious. And you have to capture, like, you have to get all these land and what look like lanterns, and you have to avoid this weasel groundhog, or what, I don't know what it's called, but it was like some it's not a weasel, I don't remember what it's called. Wait, but you had to, it was almost like a beaver, but it wasn't a beaver. Like he had dug a hole, and like animals wearing like a hat, a miner's hat with the flashlight on top of on it, and you have to avoid that. And then there's like rats that pace back and forth, and you have to avoid those as well. And once you've gotten almost all the lanterns, what look like lanterns, you go down this like zigzag like, but it's usually like pig troughs. I don't know what you water, and you have to jump while you're going down it. But while Chucky's going down it, you'll see him screaming. But then as soon as you jump, he stops screaming, and it's hilarious. And then once you've gotten all the what look like lanterns, you can go down there, go into this portal, and you go to the next destination. I don't know if you change characters or not, because I never beat it. The game was great. I still love the game, but I just never beat it. Never gotten around to beat it. But yeah. Next one was Rugrats the movie. This game was awesome. They had one for the Game Boy Color, the Game Boy Advanced, but they also had it for the Game Boy. And my sister had this game for her Game Boy, and it was the Game Boy Slim. It wasn't the actual like the original Game Boy. It was like the updated version of the Game Boy. It was like much smaller, because I had the what I like to call the futuristic Game Boy. It was like the see-through purple, and I had that one. That was my Game Boy Color. My sister had the black Game Boy, so yeah. But my sister had this for her Game Boy, and I would always steal it from her and play it on my Game Boy Color. And you play this Tommy, and you went through the house, backyard, hospital, and all these other places, because you were trying to save Dill, because Dill got lost. You were trying to find trying to find Dill, because he gets lost. And you have to collect items along the way. And each level you have to collect more items. Like one level we might have to collect 10 items. The next level we might have to collect 15 items. And you also have to avoid like stuff that's trying to stop you or make you lose your items. So like in the living room, you had the iconic bouncing ball, and that would bounce, and so it would bounce, and then so you had to avoid that. Avoid the little toy robot going around the room. Then, like, if you got up on top of a mantle or got up high, you had to avoid the the airplane that would go by. Then you'd go into the backyard. You'd have to avoid the spider. The I don't know what you'd call it. It's not a weasel, but they live in the ground, and then they would hop. They'd go from one hole to the next, and you'd have to avoid those if you were on the ground. If you were at a certain point in the backyard on the ground, and then you'd have to climb a fence and go up on what looked like they were balloons. They were like lollipops in the air. I don't know why they were up there, and they were stationary too. They were stationary. They didn't move. The only time they moved was if you were standing on one and the thing would like sink down. It would sink down a little bit, and you'd have to jump on them, and to get an item that was up in the air, you'd have to avoid this crow as well. And it was essentially a side-scrolling platformer, 2D side-scrolling platformer. But the thing was, unlike Super Mario Brothers, unlike those games where you can't go back, you can go back in this game. If you miss an item, you can go back and get it, and then go back to the goal. That's what I liked about it. I love this game so much, but like the other games, I never finished it. I never finished a lot of games except for when I was growing up. One that I've ever finished is Pac-Man Party, which is like Mario Party, but a little bit different, but I digress. But at that time, I didn't know I had ADD, so I kind of blame it on not knowing I had ADD. And that's all the cartoon-based video games, but I do have one more game on here that's not a cartoon. It was never a cartoon, but it was based on the movies. Well, it was based on this particular movie, and that's Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. This game was so awesome. They had it on several platforms. I think Microsoft had it on their PC, for the PC. I know the GameCube had it because I've seen the GameCube version, Game Boy Advance, but I had it for the Game Boy Color. And little known fact, the Game Boy Color version was the only version that was an RPG. I've only played 2 RPGs in my life, and this is one of them, and the other one was Paper Mario for the N64. And I loved this game so much, and I will post in the description below, post a link below, so you can play Rugrats Time Travelers, Rugrats the movie, and Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Play all of those emulators. And but basically you start out in the Dursley house, and in the room, and actually this version was the closest one to the movie. It was the closest one to the movie, and basically you start out the Dursley house, and then Dobby shows up, and Dobby tries to talk you out of leaving, like say at the Dursley house and not going to Hogwarts, because he's like, Hogwarts is threatened, you're not, Hogwarts is dangerous, you need to stay Hogwarts. Well, Harry doesn't listen, as usual, doesn't listen, and then all of a sudden, just like in the movie, Fred, Ron, and George in their dad's flying car and come to get Harry. They come to get Harry, and Harry's got his stuff all packed, so all you have to do is just grab his things, and then you wind up at the Weasley house, and you get to explore the Weasley house. You can take, food. There's, food lying around their house that you can take. There's, these magical trading cards. Kind of, whenever you get those chocolate frogs, like you see in the movie, the chocolate frogs, they have, a different, a different wizard on them. You basically pick up those cards and put them in your book that you have, your little scrapbook you have, and then that's all you can do, and then you spend a few days there, and while you're there, Ron's mom, the mom, Molly Weasley, she tells Ron to go denome the garden and Ron, as usual, like every kid does, is like, no, I already did. I did it last year. So and Molly's like, you gotta do it again this year. They don't go away forever. So Ron's like, hey, Harry, you want to help? So you help him denome the garden. Then you get to throw the gnomes, and then both those two things that you do right there become mini games. They become a mini game. Then like you go to Diagon Alley, and you chop Diagon Alley. Then you go to Hogwarts and you learn like different spells, and then you also can find different potions that are lying around, and you use those to fight battles that you're in. Like if you're faced with an enemy, then you use that to fight off the enemy. And there's even like a dueling club that you can do, just like in the movie, and it's awesome. And like it's just so amazing. And also like there are several mini games that they have for the game. I don't remember exactly how. I think there were like 14, but I only unlocked like 3 because I never finished the game because you had the one that I just mentioned, the denoming and gnome throwing one. You had Quidditch, and you had bowling, and tons of other ones, but those are the only ones that I had unlocked. And I never finished this one either because once I unlocked the bowling minigame, I was like, I'm done. Because I used to bowl. I bowled from the time I was 4 years old, from the time I was about 4 years old, all the way up until up until last year when I turned 20. And so yeah, but I was like, but I played that minigame a lot. If I didn't get a strike in the first frame, I would start over until I did. Yeah, I would start over until I did. I would spend hours on that game. Like I spent so much time on that game. I literally would waste batteries just playing that game so much. It was so much fun. I don't even remember what I did with it or my Game Boy Color and the rest of my games. I may have either thrown it away, given it away by accident. One of those two things might have happened, or I lost it. Either way, I can't find them. I don't know what I did with them, or my mom could have thrown them away when she was cleaning my room, but I don't know exactly what I did with them. All I know is that I don't have them anymore. I wish I did because I'd spend all my time doing that. But it was such a fun game. If you guys ever get the chance to play the emulator of it, go ahead and play it. The only issue that I have with the emulator is that like you can save your progress, but then like once you like restart the game, once you like refresh the page, you lose your progress. You lose all your progress and you gotta start all over again. That's the only problem. And you can't go back. You can't go back to the start. You can't go back to the main menu to play the mini games. So you have to like kind of complete the whole game, and then go play the mini games. Which I'm like, I don't want to do that. I spent too much time playing this bar anyway. I don't want to do that. But I might end up going back and playing it again because it's so much fun. But I wish I would have finished it, but I didn't. But at the same time, I wish I hadn't have finished it because I went online to go look up the ending of it on YouTube. I looked up the ending on YouTube, found the ending, found it, watched it, and I was like, this ending is so stupid because you go spoiler alert. If you haven't played this game, you might want to click out now. But spoiler alert, you go down the Chamber of Secrets with Ron and Professor Lockhart. And Professor Lockhart is like he's a little wuss. Like he's a scaredy cat. He's so scared. Like he's like kids like we shouldn't be down here. He's not brave at all. He's far from brave are courageous. He's like, I don't want to be down there, and he's like, he's freaking out the whole time he's down there, and then like it follows similar to the movie, except there's a little difference in it, but other than that, it's like almost similar to the movie. But you go down there with Professor Lupin, and then all of a sudden, like you're fighting the final boss, and then you win, and it's like, what? But I kind of wish I did finish it, because just for that sense of accomplishment and say like I did beat that game. Because like I said, I've only beaten one game in my entire life, and that was Pac-Man Party. If you still have a Wii and you ever find that game, show it some love. You might get bored after you finish it, like I have, because I just recently got, like last year, it was either last year or this year, I got at GameStop, I got Namco Museum for the Wii, and on the Pac-Man Party, it's got Galaga, Dig Dug, and Pac-Man on it. It's got those 3 games on it. Why keep that game when I've already got those games with the Namco Museum? But I'm still going to keep the game because of the mini games. The mini games are really fun. So if you guys ever find that game, show it some love. Maybe you'll enjoy it as much as I did. And yeah, so don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell, because next week I'm going to be talking about best game genres, and I'm going to update my schedule. I just got to figure out what I'm going to do, because I'm not entirely for sure exactly what I'm going to do. I know that next week I'm going to talk about my favorite game genres, and on Monday I'm talking about Halloween costumes. But post in the comments below what you want me to do, and what your favorite, like, video games based on cartoons are, or is. So, yeah, so don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you know when I'm going to be doing another video or another stream. Bye!